Hello there. This is Mr. Chimbe from weeklybagel.com, and I'm back again with another episode of the Weekly Bagel podcast. Today I'm going to be talking about how to save for an apartment. If you listen to my podcast episodes, on episode 3, I talked about saving to move out, but the focus was on choosing the right bank account to be able to save your money, right? Well, today I am going to be talking about specifically how to go about saving for an apartment. And why do we save a few months worth of apartment rent? Well, the reason is if you're going to get a place of your own, you want a kind of financial blanket. You want a security blanket just in case if there's a sudden loss of job, you will not be out in the streets. You're not going to be homeless. And this is why it's important to always save a few months of rent before you consider having a place of your own. Now, how much should you save for an apartment? Personally, I would say to save about $5,000. But if you don't have the financial capacity to save up to this amount, you could save at least $3,000. Why is this important? Well, first of all, $5,000 is about what? 3 months of rent in most cities in the United States. About 3 to 4 months of rent. Why at least $3,000? We give you a month or two worth of time to be able to figure out what to do in case of a sudden income disruption. Simply put, you lose your job. Now, although this may sound like it's a high amount, $5,000, it's a lot of money. I'm not gonna lie, especially for a young working class adult out there. It's an attainable goal. It can be achieved, and you need certain kind of jobs to be able to put money aside in such a way that will help you meet this goal. If you remember on episode 4 of the Weekly Bagel podcast, I talked about what kind of jobs you need to get a place of your own. And on that episode, I went into great details in listing industries and examples of jobs in these industries that will help you get the kind of pay that we, you know, make you afford an apartment, because you need to be making certain amount of money to be able to afford an apartment, right? Well, I recommend you go listen to that episode. But yeah, in in all, I would say to go for the kind of job that pays at least $18 an hour. It will help you be able to save up enough to provide the kind of security blanket that you need in case you move out there and you have a place of your own, and then suddenly there is an economic disruption, just like the COVID-19 that happened a few years ago, or even worse, you get laid off your job. You will be able to have enough time to find another job while still have a roof over your head. $5,000 will go a long way, and that is what you can get that in 10 months by putting aside $500. But if you can't do that because you have other financial responsibilities out there, I say to shoot for at least $3,000. Now I'm going to talk about how you could save for an apartment. This is because you might have a good job and a good income, but if you don't have a strategy on how to save, you may not save a dime at the end of the year. And you find this when you look around you Most of us working class adults, some of us have very good jobs, and we bring in a good amount of money every month. But if you go into our savings accounts, it's not much to write home about. So I'm going to give you tips for saving for an apartment. So that way you are able to hit your saving goal at the end of whatever timeline that you set for yourself. But the first thing I want you to do is to create a budget for yourself. Now, what is a budget? How does a budget help you achieve this saving goal? Well, what a budget does is to show you what your monthly expenses are with respect to your income, and show you where you can cut off to save money, and allocate some money to certain expenses. So that way your monthly expenditures will be tracked and be orderly in a fashion that will curb your excessive expenditures. That's what a budget does. Now, what do you need to do? How do you create a budget? I want you to get a pen and a piece of paper. I want you to list all your monthly expenses, the necessary ones. And by the necessary ones, I'm talking about the ones that don't change month to month. For instance, your car note, your car insurance. It's the same thing every month and it doesn't change, right? List all of it. And now I want you to list your variable expenses. That is, those expenses you can live without, but you still spend money just to provide some kind of creature comforts for yourselves. For instance, hanging out with friends or drinking with friends, going to the movies. Expenses like that is what I call variable expenses. They are not the same every month, and they change, and they are not really necessary, but you do it because they provide some kind of leisure to your life. So once you get all these expenses listed on that piece of paper, I want you to sum them up. Whatever you get, subtract that from your monthly income after tax. And whatever remains is what I want you to direct into your savings account for this apartment that you're looking for. Now, there's something else you could do to maximize the savings that you're going for. You could tabulate, or you could list down the necessary expenses and then get the sum of them, and then subtract that from your income, and then keep that amount aside, and list your variable expenses for this month. Once you get it, or for the previous month, the previous month is much better, because this month is not over yet, and you're still probably spending your variable expenses. So the previous month, get the variable expenses, that the expenses you can live without, and sum them up and tell me what they are. If it's a huge amount of money, I want you to see if you could live without it, right? For the next coming months, try to live without that and put that amount that you've saved now into your savings, together with the amount that remains after you have subtracted your monthly necessary expenses from your monthly income. Why is this important? It's one of the best ways to reach your goal quicker. And speaking of goals, that takes me to the next thing I want to talk to you about. I want you to set a saving goal and timeline. This is because without a saving goal and timeline, you will not be grounded. Goals keep us grounded. And what is this goal going to comprise of? Well, the goal is going to be comprised of a specific amount, the timeline, meaning how long it's going to take you to achieve that specific amount, and how much you need to set aside to be able to achieve that specific amount in that timeline. Usually, this is where I recommend going to Walmart and buying a whiteboard. I have a whiteboard. I have about four of them that have my goals. One has my 1 year goal, one has my 5 years goal, and the other has my 10 years goal. The last one is a sort of appreciation board that has a list of all the things that I have been able to achieve, so that whenever I wake up every morning and I look at it, I'm thankful for those. Now, for you, your whiteboard is going to comprise of a specific amount that you want to save, how long it's going to take you to save that specific amount, how much you need to put aside every month, and lastly, how you're going to go about saving this money. What do I mean by this? I mean, like, what kind of bank accounts you're going to use to be able to save this money. I feel like once you have a saving goal on mind, the specific amount that you have on mind, you're always going to be shooting for it, compared to when you try to save but you don't have any amounts on mind. I don't think you have the same amount of discipline compared to when you have a specific amount on your mind. Now, the next thing I want to talk to you about is to sell used things to be able to raise money. This is especially when you are making some money monthly, but you have other financial responsibilities that are tying you down. I would say to look around your house. We, the working class adults, are notorious for buying stuff that we don't need. If you go into most of our homes, you are going to find electronics, gadgets, tools, things that we use once a year or once a month, or we don't even get to use. In fact, let me tell you a story. A few years ago, I went to a friend's house, and she has a closet with boxes that she hasn't opened yet. And these were gifts, right? That have been sitting down there for years. And I was like, why don't you want to open these things? And she told me she has no use for them at that particular moment. But there were a whole lot of them. And she's not the only one. I used to do that too. I would buy something and perhaps I open the box, but I just use it once and I don't get to use it often, right? If you look around your house, you probably have things like that laying around and not doing much service to you. It could be your gaming console, it could be some paintworks, it could be some electronics, used shoes, used clothes, whatever it is that you have laying around that you have no use for, sell it. Sell it, right? Go on online platforms. You have OfferUp, you have Macari, you have eBay, they're all there. Put it up there and you will find someone that is going to buy it. Now, what does this do for you? How does this help you accomplish your saving goal? Well, it's going to generate money for you. It's going to raise money for you that you could direct to your savings account, right? When I first got my first apartment, I sold my gaming consoles. I had three of them. I had Game Boy SP, Nintendo Game Boy, and Game Boy Advance. And right now, these are worth a lot of money now. But then, I wasn't really playing them, and they were just laying around. So I went into the box, I took them, I put them online, and they were gone within hours. People came to pick them up, and I got some money out of it too, especially from the cartridges. At the end of it, I was able to raise about 500 and something dollars. Yeah, it wasn't really much, but best believe that that money went into the savings account that I had for saving for an apartment, so saving for my new apartment. Yeah, so you could do the same. If you have something, just put it up online and sell it. Whatever amount you get for the thing that you just sold, go ahead and put it back into your savings account. And speaking of savings account, what kind of savings account is best for you to save for an apartment? There's something called a high interest savings account. That's what I want you to use. This is because some of them pay up to 5%. Yes, you heard me right. Some of them pay up to 5% in interest. This is in contrast to most traditional savings accounts out there that pay a national average of 0.45%. 0.45% is nothing. Let me elaborate that for you. Let me show you. Let us think about an imaginary amount of number that you're going for, right? Let's say that you're trying to save $6,000. That is your saving amount, and you have 12 months to save this amount. And you're going to save this amount by putting aside $500 every month. If you're using a traditional savings account, that is those ones that pay 0.45%, the one that your current bank is offering you right now. So you have 0.45% interest rate multiplied by $6,000. You divide that by 100. Your capital appreciation on your savings is just going to be $27. $27 is nothing. Yeah, I mean, it might get you some hamburger from a fast food, but that's it. It's nothing. Now, assuming you're going with these high interest savings accounts that are free, that most online banks offer. Take for instance Sophie. The last time I checked, Sophie was offering 4.60% for their high interest savings account. So let's use the 4.6%, multiply that by the same $6,000 that you hope to save at the end of 12 months, and divide that by 100. Your capital appreciation is going to be $276. $276 capital appreciation. So what this means is when you are pulling that money out, or if you decide to move at the end of your saving timeline and goal, you decide to move that amount or whatever it is that you've saved to another account, you are not going to have $6,000 alone. You're going to have $6,276. Now tell me, my dear friend, $276 is going to do a lot for you, right? That there could pay for movers to help you move your things. That's a few months of renter's insurance right there, right? So this is why I recommend using high yield savings account, because the interest rate they pay is tangible. While you're saving with them, it's free. They're paying you enough so that at the end of your savings, you're going to have your capital and some money, compared to the traditional savings accounts where you're going to get paid something, but it's nothing. The amount the amount your savings is going to generate is not going to be much. It's not going to do anything for you. In fact, I am going to attach an article I wrote some time ago, the 7 best high interest savings accounts that you need to go for as a working class adult. Go check it out and go do your own research. You'll find out that traditional savings accounts are dead. The savings account that most brick and mortar banks are offering, that is banks with physical locations, the savings accounts that they offer are dead. Why? Because they no longer help the working class adults to achieve their saving goals. Because I do not see any reason why you're going to be saving thousands of dollars a year, and at the end of the year, the thousands of dollars that you're trying to save or that you've saved does not really generate much for you. It doesn't make sense, right? So that tells me right there that the bank is not really looking out for my interest. But with these new online banks that we have nowadays, like Sophie and Azus Bank, and some of them out there, for them to be able to compete with these traditional banks that have been in existence for some of them decades or even a few hundred years, they had to come up with the strategy of paying a higher interest rate on their savings than these traditional banks. And they actually care for the young working class adults. Banks like that are meant for people like you and me, because they're meant to make, they are made to make working class life easier for the working class. Take for instance, if at the end of the year, right, you're able to save $10,000 in one of these online banks that pay, let's say they pay an interest rate of 4.5%, for instance. 4.5 times $10,000. You divide that by 100. Your capital appreciation is going to be $450. I know it's not much, but $450 could do something compared to when you save it with a traditional bank that has a physical location. Let's say the traditional bank is offering an interest rate of 0.42%. You have 0.42% times the $10,000 that you've saved. You divide that by 100. That is $42. Make it make sense to me. Make it make sense. So, see what I mean by traditional savings accounts are dead? As young working class adults that we are, we need to look out for ourselves, right? And if we are working very hard to save money, we have to make sure that we are putting that money in a place that looks after our interest. So if you're going to be saving for this apartment and if your goal is to do it for 12 months, even if it's for 10 months or 8 months, I would recommend using a high interest savings account to do that, so that at the end of the year or at the end of your savings timeline, you're going to have your capital plus some tangible appreciation on that capital. Yes. Now, the next thing that I want to talk about is why you're saving. Try to work on your credit, because here in the United States of America, credit is king, right? You could live without credit. However, you may not have access to some creature comforts if you don't have a credit history or a very good credit score. Take for instance, if you go to buy a car, the interest rate on that car loan can be low if you have a good credit history. And when you have a very bad credit history, the interest rate is going to be higher than what someone with a good credit history would get, right? So the same goes with apartment complexes. Apartment complexes will always run a credit check on you, because they want to make sure that they are not renting out to a liability, meaning someone that is going to come in and to pay rent is going to be a problem for such a person, right? So apartment complexes will run credit history, and what they're looking for when they run that credit history is to make sure that you don't have a history of owing rent, that you're not a bum. I'm sorry to use that word, but some people tend to rent apartment and have a difficult time paying rent and making life miserable for the person that rents the apartment to them. So on the apartment complexes, they want to avoid that, because obviously they are a business, right? And they're always trying to maintain a consistent income flow. They will run a credit check on you, and if you don't have a good credit history, it's likely going to increase your rent or your down payment, and that means you're digging into this money you just saved to compensate for this issue. And that is why I want you to work on your credit. Why? you are saving the amount that you want to save. It's going to go a long way for you. Now, the last thing I want to mention is to use an apartment locator service to save on apartment cost. What does apartment locator service does for you? What does it do for you? I meant to say, forgive my English. What does it do for you? Well, what it does is to help you get the kind of apartment that suits your financial needs. I have used it. Actually, the first apartment I got in the United States, I actually used that to get it, and they were able to get me an apartment in a good side of town. But this was years ago, because I've been here for a while now. They got me an apartment where I was paying $695 in rent, and that was the cheapest I've ever paid since then. I don't think you can ever come across such a rent nowadays. Yes, but then that's what I was paying, 1 bedroom apartment. And the person that helped me do that, Steven, whatever he is, God bless him, apartment locator agent, was able to negotiate a deal where the apartment didn't charge me 1 month rent, and that went a long way. Not just that, they were able to accept the cheapest renters insurance I could find, which was Lemonade, where I was paying $8 a month for renters insurance, and they accepted it. Now, prior to that, when I went looking for an apartment on my own, the apartments that I found, when I asked them whether they would accept Lemonade, they said no. They told me that I could either accept their renter's insurance, which was about $50-something every month, or I could talk to my car insurance to provide a renter's insurance for me, which then was about $30-something monthly. So I was like, no. So I went to them, and they helped me reduce my apartment. Excuse me. They helped me reduce my apartment cost. So when is a good time to use an apartment locator? And why am I even talking about this in a topic that has to do with saving for an apartment? Well, on the last month of your saving timeline, when you start looking for that apartment, this service will help you get an apartment that will meet your needs. An apartment that will be in such a way that you don't have to dig into these savings to compensate for additional cost of living in an apartment, right? That is what an apartment locator service does. When you go to them, they will give you a form, you fill out the form, you tell them what kind of apartment you're looking for, a 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, how much you're willing to pay. And you could tell them, hey, I would like an apartment that is offering deals, an apartment that takes Lemonade insurance. That is, if that's what you want to use, you could use any insurance that you want, any renter's insurance that you want. You could tell them, okay, you want an apartment that is close to work or your school, and their database has thousands of apartment complexes. So I'm sure they will figure out a way to find an apartment that meets your need. And when they do, they will call you to come go there with them, and they will be there with you the entire time. That is one beautiful thing about this service. So this is why I'm bringing them up. Whatever city that you are in, I'm sure your city probably has one. Just Google it, apartment locator service. It's free of charge. It's free. They don't charge you anything at all. I think they get paid once you become a tenant. Like the apartment complex pay them based on the referral that they do. So don't forget to use them on the last month of your saving timeline, so that way you can reduce the cost of moving in, or the cost of maintaining a renter's insurance, or even save on rent. They will do that for you. That's all you need to know about saving for an apartment. I think these things will help you go a long way. First, you need to create a budget for yourself, and you need to know what your monthly expenses are. You subtract that from your income, and you know what is left, and then you put that into your savings. You need a job that will pay you well enough to be able to meet whatever saving goals that you have, and you need to have a specific realistic, attainable goal set for yourself. And this goal is going to include how much you want to save, how long it's going to take you to save, the amount that you're going to be putting aside every month to be able to meet that specific amount, and what kind of bank that you're going to use, which I recommend you use high interest savings accounts, as I have obviously shown you here. So I think these things are gonna help you a long way, because they did help me when they helped me a lot when I got my first apartment. So I'm sure they will help you too. I remain yours faithfully, Mr. Chime. I am going to conclude my podcast episode here, and I'm always rooting for your success. I know you've got what it takes. The life of a working class adult is not easy, but the mere fact that you are trying to get a place of your own and you're looking for ways to provide a security blanket just in case you lose a job is very admirable. I admire that. Yeah, I admire that, and I applaud you consistently making efforts to improve your life. And I wish you the best. And I want you to keep on working hard to make yourself a better person, to help yourself grow. Because I believe that in life, the reason why we are here is to grow into something that will eventually provide a positive contribution to whatever society that we have found ourselves, right? And I know you, dear, you are going to create your own ideal success, and you you got it. Basically, is what I'm saying. You've got it. You've got this done. Now, once you have set your savings goal and your timeline, and at the end of it, you're able to meet those, tag me on social media. I want to celebrate with you because it's not easy. Yeah. And not everybody has the capacity to save money, regardless of how much they make in a month. But you being able to do that shows that you have strength. So I respect that. Anyways, I hope you have a wonderful week. Chibe out.